To all who come to this happy place,
Welcome.
welcome.
Well, come in.
Let's put on the show.
Your cadaverous pallor
Aloha.
betrays an aura of foreboding.
Hang on to them hats and glasses.
And now,
Ladies and gentlemen,
Remain seated, please. Permanecer sentados, por favor.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Remain Seated, Please. We are sitting at the table, myself, Robert, along with...
Cynthia.
That was David, Cynthia, and Susie. Today we thought we would talk about what makes the perfect Disney park. We're going to talk about our dream parks, the things that we would put in a Disney park if we were the Imagineers ourselves. So each of us are going to talk about what they believe would be the perfect Disneyland. Now, it doesn't have to be the Magic Kingdom style. It could be anything you want. Any attraction that's been done, you could throw it in. You could take anything out. What are your favorite things? So to start this little extravaganza of what we think the perfect Disney park is, I am going to start. What I think the perfect Disney park could possibly be, all you have to do really is go to the Walt Disney Family Museum and look at the Disneyland model. That Disneyland model has everything that Walt Disney had a hand in, all in one. So that model of Disneyland isn't a Disneyland that ever existed. It's a Disneyland that included all the attractions Walt Disney touched in his life. It has things that never appeared at the same time. For instance, it will have things like the flying saucers, but it will also have Space Mountain. So basically, I'm going to start the basis of what my perfect Disneyland is off of that model. So think of everything that was done from 1970 before, and that's what I'm going to start with. So first, Main Street will look basically pretty much like it does today. Not too many differences. Of course, I would have, different storefronts. I would have things be more unique. I'd put the coffee house back, no Starbucks.
Same thing.
It's not the same thing.
Right at me.
Because I know you love your Starbucks. I'm just
like
kidding.
Coffee.
I'm just kidding. No, Starbucks has a particular smell, and that smell reminds me of work. And I don't want to think about work when I'm at Disneyland.
That sounds like a personal problem.
So Main Street would be basically the same. And then if you make your left, you make your way to Adventureland. Yes, I would keep the Tiki Room. Jungle Cruise would be there. I think I would keep the Jungle Cruise the way it is now, with the 1930s theme. I do like the old boats, how they used to look, but I like the 30s theme, mostly because of how it works with Indiana Jones, and yes, I would keep Indiana Jones. Now, things that I would add to Adventureland, the treks in Animal Kingdom. So, at Animal Kingdom, they have these wonderful hiking paths where you could see gorillas and real live animals and these great giant fruit bats. The bats are my favorite thing to look at. But those little walkways are really some of my favorite things, and I think they'd go great in Adventureland. Almost imagine an Adventureland that includes what's already there plus all the stuff at Animal Kingdom. I wouldn't put the safari there though. Even though I love the safari, I wouldn't put that in my park.
Okay.
It's just too big, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it does take up a lot of real estate, but you would have the Jungle Cruise. So the Jungle Cruise would still have the animatronics.
Yeah, Jungle Cruise stays the same.
And then where would you put the treks? Would you put them like between Indiana Jones and the Jungle Cruise, or?
I just imagine there would be so much more space and land that you could put them between them. Yeah. I'd keep a treehouse, I think. Swiss Family Robinson, though.
Yes.
Now, New Orleans Square, obviously, that would stay because that's my favorite land they've ever done. Pirates go back to its original form, like it should anyway. Haunted Mansion will be there. Of course, I will... I could add some stuff that's in the Disney World version, like the staircases and all that. Critter Country, I would keep, but I would put the Country Bears back in instead of Winnie the Pooh. Frontierland, I would... Now, of course, Star Wars wouldn't be anywhere near my park. So we're going to put the rivers back to how big they used to be. Now for Frontierland, I'm going to do something interesting. I'm going to have Big Thunder and Nature's Wonderland. And it will be an attraction that can intersect with each other, and you can see like it'll run through each other, kind of how they were planning to do the Indiana Jones ride at one point, where there's concept art that would show the Jungle Cruise and the Disneyland Railroad going through the Indiana Jones ride, which sounds incredible.
Wow, yeah, that sounds great.
So yeah, I would have Nature's Wonderland, and I would have Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. I'd keep the Mark Twain. I'd keep Sailing Ship Columbia, because I love those. Would I put Big Thunder Ranch back? That's interesting. I think I would, just because I love the aesthetic of it.
Give me my goats.
Yes, the goats could stay. Let's see, Fantasyland. Now, obviously, I was born in 1984, so I didn't get to see New Fantasyland, because the New Fantasyland came to Disneyland in 1983. I would keep all that as is. The dark rides I'd probably change. I'd probably go back to the scarier version of Snow White.
Yeah.
And, all that. And, I'd keep Mr. Toad, keep Peter. I'd keep Fantasyland basically how it is, except I would figure out a way to get the ship back at Skull Rock.
The ship?
Yeah, Captain Hook's ship.
Okay.
It used to be a restaurant.
The Chicken of the Sea.
Yeah. Then I would keep Small World where it is at the top. So you see, I'm basically keeping Disneyland pretty much how it is, but going kind of how it was back in time with a few new additions. Tomorrowland is probably, that's going to have some new stuff in it. I would keep Space Mountain, but I would it's going to mostly look like the 1967 Tomorrowland. I'm going to put back the People Mover. Going to have an Adventure Through Inner Space. I'm going to keep the submarines because I love the submarines. Autopia is not going to be there anymore, though. I could do without Autopia. But the Carousel of Progress is going to be back. I don't need the flying saucers. Those could go. Star Tours is gone, but there are going to be some things that I'm going to add.
Wait. What about the Mary Blair murals? Would you bring those back?
Well, of course, but that's the 1967 Tomorrowland.
I know, but you didn't say it.
Okay, yes. The Mary Blair murals will be back. I want to go back real quick. I forgot to mention, because it's in between Fantasyland and Tomorrowland, but the Matterhorn bobsleds, yes, I would keep. I love the Matterhorn. Now, I would make it a lot smoother. Fix the track so everything is smooth and wonderful, but visually it all stays the same.
Would you bring back the climbers?
Yeah, the climbers, of course.
And have Mickey Mouse climbing, which is such a OSHA, put on this very restrictive
But
costume.
amazing.
Now,
love it so much.
I'd also put the holes back in the Matterhorn so the Skyway buckets can ride through them.
Yes.
Now back to Tomorrowland. So you enter Tomorrowland. It looks like the 1967 version. Mary Blair murals on the sides. I'll have Adventure Through Inner Space on the right. On the left, I would have Living with the Land. Because Tomorrowland
Yes.
uses real vegetation for, at least in the version that's there now. I don't know if they did in the 60s, but the version there now, the plants that you see are all edible.
Sustainable foods.
Yeah, sustainable foods. And then,
Well, it exists in Future World,
yeah.
technically at Epcot, so.
Would I put Captain EO back? I don't think so. I love Captain EO, but I don't think I would have that in my park. I would have Space Mountain, Carousel of Progress. Now, I'm having a hard time with this, but I got to put it in there because I love it so much. I'd have Spaceship Earth. Spaceship Earth has to be in there because it's one of my favorite rides of all time. The problem I'm having, though, is sightlines and how it compares to the rest of the park, because of course I want the castle in the center, and my favorite castle is the Disneyland castle, and that's what I would want it to be. Now, if we're comparing height of that castle to the giant 180 foot tall sphere of Spaceship Earth, it wouldn't really match. So that's where I'm a little conflicted as to how this would actually work if I were to really do it. Monorail could stay, and then let's move to where Toontown is. Toontown will no longer be there. I do like Toontown, though, but...
Roger Rabbit's Cartoon Spin.
Yeah, I mean, I like that, but I would make it a Hollywood land, and I would put basically Sunset Boulevard from Hollywood Studios there, and have Tower of Terror there, and the Great Movie Ride, have the Chinese Theater at the back of the park, like behind... I guess maybe adjacent behind Small World.
Real thing thing is on Hollywood Boulevard.
But doesn't have the ride in it.
Oh, okay.
And then Tower of Terror, of course. Of course, that would also give me the issue of sight lines and how tall that would be compared to everything else. That a building would be taller than the Matterhorn, you know. Can I add a ride that's never been made before?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Fair
Then
Park.
in my Hollywood park, there's going to be a Universal Monsters ride. Even though it's Universal. But
Well-
I want a boat ride like Pirates of the Caribbean, but it's all the Universal Monsters.
I was thinking
Just
when you
like
were
waving at you?
No. It's like you go through a boat and like you start in the ice cavern of House of Frankenstein, and there's Frankenstein and the Wolfman in ice, and then Dr. Neiman comes and says, "We need them to find the Frankenstein records," and then the Invisible Man comes laughing out of nowhere, and then the big climax is Frankenstein and the Wolfman are fighting, and there's big waterfalls and a big crash, and
And then Abbott and Costello take your picture.
sure.
when you were talking about your Main Street, I was going to ask you if the Main Street Cinema would still be as it is now, or if you would have it with like the Phantom of the Opera walking around outside.
Yes, that would be great. Phantom of the Opera outside. There is some stuff that I'm thinking of as we're going. Also, great moments with Mr. Lincoln. Maybe could be the American Adventure. Because I love the American Adventure. But I would have to combine one that has Lincoln plus the American Adventure. Maybe there's two different rooms you could go into. You can choose which one you want.
Left or right.
Or it's just two brothers on a loop, a continuous loop.
Two brothers on their way, two brothers on their way.
And then entertainment. Inside the Golden Horseshoe. Bringing back...
Golden Horseshoe Review with Miss Lily.
Yeah,
Miss
with
Lily.
bringing Miss Lily back, which came back for the limited time offering a few years ago, because I love that show. Which basically, you know, it's the Wally Bogue show, so maybe I would just bring that show back, resurrect Wally Bogue
I was
somehow.
going to say, do you put a Wally Bogue animatronic inside?
Yeah, and then Main Street Electrical Parade would be there, and I would put back the original Fantasmic.
Yes.
Fireworks, I would do the Remember Dreams Come True fireworks show, but I would add all those rides that I mentioned to be added
Oh, yeah, to the show.
into the show. And I think that about does it for my perfect park. It's very classic, very much like how Disneyland used to be, with just a few additions.
I may have missed it, but do you have the Disneyland Railroad?
I didn't mention it, but yes, of course I have the Disneyland Railroad. It's one of my favorite rides. I would have the Disneyland Railroad, keep the dinosaurs, keep the Grand Canyon.
What about your narrator?
The narrator would be the version that they had in the 1990s, Thurl Ravenscroft.
Oh.
We're now on a grand circle tour of the Magic Kingdom, stopping at New Orleans Square, Mickey's Toontown, and Tomorrowland.
That's my Disney park.
Well, it sounds excellent. I really like it.
Who wants to go next?
I'll go next.
Cynthia.
So my dream park is mainly based on mixing Epcot and Animal Kingdom together. I'm not too sure, but that's exactly where my mind went, was like those two places. Just, I'm so happy there. So my Epcot and Animal Kingdom hybrid park would be pretty much like a marriage of the two utopias and like conservation and education, which I know a lot of people don't go to Disney World for that, but that is honestly my favorite part of Disney World, is going and just like learning new things and seeing a lot of stuff that has to do with like the planet and the earth and animals, and just kind of enjoying other cultures. And I don't know, and that's so weird to have in the middle of Florida, that I think it's very unique, and I would love a hybrid of the two. My park icon would be Spaceship Earth. So actually, I think I'd have like two entrances, because I really want the best of both worlds. And I want the Tree of Life, and I want Epcot. So they'd be on very much opposite sides of the park. So if you were to enter by Spaceship Earth, Spaceship Earth would be as is.
As is meaning the outside of it or the whole ride?
The whole ride.
What about the screens at the end?
Well, so that's the only version I've ever experienced.
That's true, but you can make it whatever you want.
What was it before the screens? It was like little vignettes.
Yeah, models.
I mean, that's cute. I could go for either one. I do like when they make little model utopias, and I feel like it would fit and make the whole thing a a little cohesive if there were little models of, let's say, the other side of the park. I would have World Showcase. So World Showcase is a really big deal to me. I really like it. However, I would change a little bit of World Showcase. Maelstrom would come back by Frozen.
I had a hard time not putting that into my park. I really wanted to put the World Showcase in there, but I thought I was just being too greedy if I did.
It's in mine too. Just as a
I mean, it's just so great. I would maybe add a couple more countries to it. I would definitely flesh out the continent of Africa and actually put countries in there. I would probably add some Polynesian countries so that we could add in, I know it's more American Polynesian than like actual Pacific Island, but I'd put the Tiki Room in there.
Are there any countries you would get rid of?
No.
harsh.
I don't.
It's so harsh.
It just, I don't think. Maybe I might add like more South American countries.
We were supposed to do Israel at one point.
There is like a lack of Middle Eastern
I think
countries.
on our Epcot map that we have, it says like Israel coming soon.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
That'd be pretty neat. I mean, there is Morocco, but that's Africa. But I definitely think there needs to be a little bit more like
representation.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, honestly, I just want to eat around the world. I love all the food, and I would keep all of the food festivals, the Festival of the Arts, because I think that's really a wonderful program that I mean, we've experienced a very small part of like the remnants that went into the Flower and Garden, which I absolutely loved and like lost my mind at. So, but I would keep all of them, the holiday one, and especially food and wine.
Would you still keep the cast members being from those countries?
Yes. I think it adds a little bit of charm. Even
it does.
if some of them aren't into it, but then you do meet, most of them are like super jazzed to be there. And so I would also keep from Epcot Living with the Land. And I would keep the seas.
Yeah, the seas is good.
I would keep that. So I feel like those would go into the conservation and whatnot, and those would be almost the gateway into going into the animal kingdom kind of part of it, which I would definitely keep the Kilimanjaro Safari.
What if on the land you could get off like in the rainforest area?
That would be amazing. Yes. So my main thing was thinking about the treks, because I do really love those jungle treks.
Yeah.
And I would add them to their respective, you could access them from their respective country, that at the other end of the trek would put you into the animal kingdom area. And I really like this transition between being in this like developed societies as opposed to being like in the wilderness and having that having to actually move through these spaces.
Well, it almost sounds like if you're combining Disney World and Animal Kingdom, basically, it's almost like you're losing your society and your technology as you go further in. Like it goes from the future with Spaceship Earth to the countries to the safari.
Yeah, it's pretty much that. It's like bringing it back to being more in touch with like the earth, which is so hokey to say about a theme park, but the fact that you can go to a theme park and like sit in a presentation that'll show you how to recycle your plastic bags into purses, and I'm 100% for it, and then I'll go take a $20 tour that'll show me how to like that I can have a bunch of tilapia that'll feed the plants that then I can eat, but then the plants end up feeding the tilapia, and I'm just like, yes, I don't even eat fish. Let's do this. Like I
Whitefish.
love it so much. Going back to my Living with the Land, I would change it. Only because when we were at D23, one of the D23s many ago, there was a model of Tony Baxter's Living with the Land. And that one had a gondola system that also went above everything and went through the rainforest and went over all these different topographic, is that the word? Areas. And they kind of look like little hot air balloons from what I'm remembering.
Didn't it also have like a half dome shape?
Yes, it had it had these, like, that's what I remember, and I would like to mix the two together, where you could take these gondolas and have an aerial view, or you could take the boats and go around. And it kind of reminded me of like Zootopia when they take a little gondola through the rainforest.
Oh yeah.
So then you would go into the Animal Kingdom area, and we have the Tree of Life in there. I don't know if I'd have It's Tough to Be a Bug. What it would be, I'm not 100% sure.
Captain EO.
I would have Captain EO in the base of the tree of life.
Except it would be Michael Jackson's Earth Song.
Oh, gosh.
My God.
And so everyone could just cry. And then it just erupts into flames at the end. And they lead you out into
Hall of Presidents.
the Hall of Presidents.
No, it would go to Peter Pan's fly.
God.
So I would have Kilimanjaro Safari. I would have the trucks would end in there. I think I would keep the front of Animal Kingdom the same with the little marketplace, essentially like their main street hub area. Right. Food wise, Tiffin's everywhere. I want Tiffin style dining to be so present. Yeah. I just really want there to be just an insane amount of food. And just really beautiful like food experiences. And
you want good food.
I don't think I'd carry over Avatar Land, Pandora, the world, because I haven't been, so I can't just blanketly.
But there could be stuff there that you might want, but not specifically Avatar themed, you know.
No, but I know that this is part of the concept for Animal Kingdom, and it's still somewhat on the logo. There's a little dragon because they wanted to have a mythical creatures section. I would super bring a mythical creatures section in there. And in my dream of dreams, Disney would have done what they super missed out on. I'm not saying that they should have done it because I don't think we'd be experiencing the amazingness that it is now. But if they had picked up the Harry Potter license and capitalized on the mythical beasts section of Harry Potter, I would totally put that into that.
So you got Harry Potter like I have Universal Monster.
I would. I mean, if they had, just because that was something that they presented J.K. Rowling with such an uninspired attraction that she was like, I will take this elsewhere. And so Universal 100% was like, we got this. And this is what I think has really led to us having such amazing technology now in parks. But I would totally have like a mythical creatures area in Animal Kingdom just because I know it was part of the original concept. So I just think that would be really awesome. And maybe having like that dragon that lives under, is it
Paris?
Yeah. Have something like that, like a
that
layer.
Could be in the tree.
That would be great under the tree.
Cool.
I like it. Yeah.
Now, I don't know if you're going to get to this or not, but what would you do about the dinosaur stuff?
I kind of want Dinosaur to just be Indiana Jones, to be perfectly honest.
It fits.
It just would make more sense.
But would you want a new dinosaur area?
I would like a dinosaur area, but at the same time, I'm not so in love with the Animal Kingdom dinosaur area that I'm okay with it being taken out.
You could put a train around the park and put the dinosaurs in.
Well, so I was thinking definitely a monorail situation, and the monorail will get you from one end of the park to the other.
You'd have to.
Yeah. And then, we would still have the friendships, and probably a gondola system that I think would be like a Grand Circle tour. Because I think that both of these parks lend themselves really well to being viewed aerially. I would definitely have the Festival of the Lion King. And honestly, show-wise, that's as far as I got because I got so happy thinking about Festival of the Lion King, and I just think it would just be crying. Nighttime-wise, I would love Fantasmic to be in the middle of World Showcase. And then, like, parade-wise, I'm not too sure. I know that when California Adventure opened, there was, like, a really bizarre... parade that went through celebrating California, and I kind of want something really weird and unique to this park that just has like really weird floats, a lot of like billowy, flaggy looking costumes, people doing acrobat. I want something weird just because I feel like that would be. And then like the music has to be a lot of like chanting, kind of like like people harmoniously making music.
Like,
I feel
like Illuminations.
Yeah, I feel like that would make sense to this park. Like you're like, this is, and it's less.
You're gonna love Rivers of Light.
I want to see that and I'm so bummed we didn't get to see it when we were there. But I definitely want a giant float of like Joe Rohde just coming down, and it's just wind chimes for earrings, and you're just like, that leads the parade. Something just weird. That's all I want. It's pretty much my park. It's an all-day park. There's a lot of crying involved. There's a lot of eating involved, and you will leave there being very educated. There are not very many thrill rides.
That sounds wonderful. And you know what I found interesting also is that it's not similar at all to how my park turned out to be. Where like, we could make our own Disney World. Disney World.
2 parks.
Totally could.
That's where your monorail goes. It goes to her park.
Yeah, that's what I think would work well.
It is like an hour-long monorail ride, just so everyone knows that.
I did notice you don't really have a long audio animatronics ride. You have Maelstrom and Indiana Jones, but
I have Living with the Land. Oh, like an animatronic, centric.
Kind of like just a long 20-minute ride.
Yeah, I was like, what do I want? Like, do I want a thrill ride? Would I keep Expedition Everest? Yes, I think I'd put that in there. But like, just like a people eater, besides having like Spaceship Earth.
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, what if like, I don't know, what if the Tree of Life were like another kind of Spaceship Earth and had some sort of
You ride on a dragon.
But it's about photosynthesis.
All right, let's ride on the monorail over to Susie's park.
I think I got overwhelmed. I started making my notes for my dream park, and it is sort of based off of Disneyland or Magic Kingdom like styles, because I started there. Like, I started with having the Disneyland Main Street kind of as is. I like the idea of like having the barber shop and like actual like kind of some of the old school type stuff. And then kind of just breezed through that, didn't put too much detail there, and I put the Florida hub for some reason, but I think it's mainly just from a space standpoint, like just having, I don't know, that space.
Would you have those little grass areas that people lie down on?
Yeah, I think it'd be nice. I would have a lot of seating areas, shade, trees. I'd definitely have a castle.
Would you pick a particular castle?
Well, I have a blend of the Paris and Florida castle. Well, mainly because of size, because while I do love our castle, it is a baby castle in comparison specifically to these two. But I really loved the dragon underneath, the interactive aspects of those two castles. So again, the underneath layer, dragon layer, and then the fact that you could just walk through and be inside of the castle. So, you know, whether there's just like a walkthrough and a restaurant or whatever, but I just like that you can go in, and ours you can just go through. And I know we've added that Sleeping Beauty walkthrough, but I don't know, it's just not quite enough.
You know, it would be neat also if you added the boat ride at Shanghai that goes underneath the castle as well.
See, that was hard for me. Like, it definitely, when you like Anthea were talking about blending, that's very much what I felt I was doing. But just like you, if I didn't experience or like haven't seen it or been through it, it was hard for me to think about adding it.
That's why I didn't choose anything from the non-US parks, because I need to see it first.
Yeah.
So then I had that, and then that's kind of where like my next note is World Showcase. So while I think we talked about it a little bit when we were in Florida this last time, you know, what's your favorite park over there? And I realized that it is, well, it's Magic Kingdom, but that's because it's like Disneyland and then Epcot. So that was my next note, was World Showcase. And just like you, Anthea, I really love kind of the culture and the learning and the diversity. Yes, I think it should be bigger but it would definitely be a part of my park. I don't know where, and this is where I started to, I feel like, get like overwhelmed, because I was like, how do I tackle this? Do I go land by land? Do I like, you know, and then I was like, this is gonna, like, I could literally have an entire day of a podcast myself kind of going over it. So then I just started making notes, like things that have always sort of stood out to me as favorites. I say that, and then my next is Toontown. I would have a Toontown, but it would be a little bit bigger, and it would definitely be more of the older, like, and it would be more interactive. Well, I know that there's a lot of fun things now. We've talked recently about how, like, the trolley doesn't go anywhere anymore, and they've taken a lot of the things that were there away. But I like the idea of there being like this town that Mickey and his friends live in, and I feel like I would expand on that and have them all have like houses, and you know, you could go and experience that. So yeah, again, there's no order. I kind of gave up on trying to break it out into lands or like
it'll drive you crazy
where what was gonna land. So mine was not as cohesively thought out, I guess. But I have the Haunted Mansion on there, Florida version, kind of with a blend of Tokyo's exterior, but they're almost similar, pretty similar, I think, in the way of actual ride-through.
So you prefer the exterior there as opposed to Disneyland?
I do. I think Tokyo even more so than Florida, the exterior. It's flat, so it's a little more like ours, but it's, I don't know.
You want it more gothic and scary?
Well, I thought about that because I was like, well, I really like Phantom Manor, but in the end, I didn't like it enough. Like, it felt a little it didn't feel Disney enough, I guess. So, yeah, I think it's just enough of the mix. I feel like I just want to bring Tokyo's park here.
Tokyo Disneyland or Tokyo Sea?
No, well, there was a lot at Tokyo Sea I liked as well. I think the thing is it's weird because I'm with you on a lot of things, Robert, about liking, like, there's an old school aspect that I like, but I like the idea of where things went. And we've talked a lot about this with how we were supposed to essentially get Tokyo Sea here and we just didn't. And I feel like I don't know, I feel like they've done so many cool things over there. Like, I just like the exteriors. Like, that's the one thing that, while I love our park, I really, really do, we just don't have the space. So I feel like some of the things that I wanted to pull, because essentially it's like, I really wanted Disneyland, I just wanted it a little bigger and better, and that's not don't kill me, Robert, but it's not to say that ours isn't good enough. It's just, if I was able to have that space, that's what I really liked about Florida too, like the queues. Like, it just adds more magic, if you will, to your time and experience there. So, like, I had the exterior for the Tokyo Indiana Jones, and then there's rides that, like, ride systems and just the experience. So there's that Pooh's Honey Hunt in Tokyo, with that ride system where you essentially float.
It's the trackless ride system.
Yeah, and so that was just really neat, a really good experience, and that ride's amazing. I think for me, I'm very visual, so for me, sometimes just having more to look at and having it be more immersive or feeling like you're in it is really important to me. So then I have Paris's Crush Coaster, because that's pretty amazing.
From what I've seen online, does that not have a good exterior? Is it pretty basic?
It's like a
flat,
boxy, like,
yeah.
It's because it's like a studio. It looks like a stage.
Yeah.
Right, because I've heard such bad things about that park, and I feel like if that's such a good ride, they could really work on the exterior.
Wait, which park is it? I'm sorry. Again,
it's okay.
I'm
It's
not
at Hollywood
like,
Studios in
Walt Disney Studios Park.
Yeah, sorry.
In
at
Paris.
Paris.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, the idea is that it looks like a stage, so it's not very remarkable on the outside because it looks like a stage.
Okay.
But the ride
So awesome
itself
inside, and the
is
ride
amazing.
so good,
Yeah.
So, but and that's the thing, is when I thought about incorporating other parks, Epcot was the World Showcase. I'm taking that from there. But I do like the live Animal Kingdom stuff. What I didn't think about a lot of was these two Hollywood studio parks. I would take, obviously, like Tower of Terror and put it into my park. But so yeah, I have Tokyo's Thunder Mountain, but I mainly just like that it's this big, the rivers are around it, and it's just its own island, if you will, right?
Paris's Big Thunder is on the island.
So then maybe I'm at Paris, not Tokyo. I think the main thing that I didn't think about is essentially these are the things I would add again into like the Disneyland park or replace, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like instead of having our Pooh, I would have the Pooh ride. I would just have this
You'd plus
other
it
Pooh
up
ride
by making it.
So same with this. Like I would have our kind of Fantasyland, if you will. But there's a labyrinth, Alice's Labyrinth in Paris that I really liked because it's just, again, it's interactive. It's like a little like maze that you can go through. And again, it's all so visual. Like when you're there, it's just fun and it feels like you're inside of these worlds, I guess. I do have the Disneyland Railroad because I do thoroughly enjoy just taking a ride on it and like the way that it just sort of plays out in our park. I believe it's the Paris Pirates exterior that's really good with the big ship outside.
Yes, yeah.
It's dangerous to walk through there, so I would definitely put more
They don't
lights.
have OSHA, so they don't light anything up.
Oh.
So you walk
It's
in and your eyes
pitch black.
If you walk in and it's daytime outside, you can't see anything inside.
They may have changed it since the update, though.
It's possible.
Probably because we went in 2008.
a million years ago.
10 years ago.
Because it is one of my favorite things to do, even though we didn't get to do a lot of it this last trip in Florida. I did note, and again, this is all Tokyo, but I noted Tokyo's Fantasmic. I loved, while everyone will not like this, I did love going and having all the different popcorn flavors in Tokyo.
What's wrong with that?
I want to eat Tokyo
Because-
so bad.
It's not like we're talking about, good food, and then I'm like, yeah, just sprinkle some like kimchi powder on this popcorn.
That's
and
okay.
I'll
I want
love it.
churros.
I want the Mickey shaped churros. I want the different popcorns. I want the
Gyoza
sea
dog?
salt.
I
ice
put
cream.
gyoza dog on here.
I want all of it. I want that tiger tail thing that people post everywhere. I want to eat that weird little Mike Wazowski eye bun. I want all of it.
I also put Tokyo merch, and
Face mask.
maybe I just want to be in Tokyo.
I want a hamburger bag so bad.
I do see that the Tokyo merchandise always has lots of good Country Bear stuff. Which,
Well, they have Country Bear stuff. They have a lot of like obscure things. Like they had Marie before. Like now Marie's everywhere here, which is great. But they had a lot of Genie stuff out there. Some of it felt like old school. Like they had things that we forget about. Like we just. And
Like
they make
Duffy.
a lot of it, and they make cool merchandise. Like I feel
Duffy.
like stuff that's cute, like those like all the bags, even their popcorn buckets are cool. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know if I care about popcorn buckets that much, but you know what? If Tokyo has it, I want it anyway. So, in conclusion, I don't know. Again, that's all really in addition to Disneyland. Yeah, I don't know. I could go on and on and on. But my park would be literally the size of the USA. Of the US of A.
Take a 5-hour flight to get to Tomorrowland.
Yeah, like I would want the monorail. I would want People Mover. I'd love this guy. Like I literally want everything.
Yeah.
And did we talk about Tower of Terror? I have mixed feelings because I really like the Florida one. But I do thoroughly enjoy the Tokyo one, but it's completely different. So can I have 2 Tower of Terrors?
I was about to say,
course.
¿Por qué no los dos? Just do it.
well, Tower of Terror is Hollywood. Tokyo's New York, so you can
That's
do
right.
New York land if you want.
My park's a mess, but it's mine, and I love it.
Do you dream about it at night?
Not yet, because I'm still trying to figure out the details.
That does keep her up at night, though.
yeah, exactly. That's
Just
why I
trying to
haven't
figure
been
out
sleeping.
those details.
No, yeah, I don't know.
I love it. Love it so much that if we're moving on to mine, my park is very similar. So perhaps you'll be really into my park.
Your David Park?
That's right. So are we?
Would you change the name to David Park?
No, it would be. I don't know what. I didn't think of a
yeah, I didn't
name.
think
Do
of
you
a
have?
name
Hold on.
either.
Let's do
Do you
this.
have a
Do you have a name for yours?
Disneyland.
Disneyline.
Animal Cot. Annie Cot.
I like both.
Animal Cot.
Yeah.
Cot at Kingdom.
I think I would stick with Magic Kingdom for mine.
Yeah.
All right, David, let's hear it.
Mine is Disneyland layout, but the size of Magic Kingdom, so that gives us some scope. The entrance, though, is just like Epcot, in that it's a lot of cement walkways and benches and grass, and and a monorail station that takes you right to the parking area. What's so funny about my...
I think it's the way... Because I was like, oh my God. And then you're like, and then grass. And I was like, oh, okay.
There's something I love about the entrance of Epcot. It looks like 1983 all the time.
I love the entrance, like the outside part, when you really stand back and look at the monorail station.
Yeah.
But I will say that, would you have those obelisks?
No. Like
Okay.
pretty much right to the gate.
Okay,
like
cool.
none of the rest of it.
I will say, really quickly, our friend, one of the last times we were there, she very loudly, because people were like, what is this, as we're walking up, and looks at me and she's like, these are memorials to all the people who have died at Epcot. And there's like a family next to us, and I was like, let's go find NSYNC. So we walk over.
Just behind the turnstiles would be what you're used to seeing at Disneyland, and the Disneyland Railroad, which is there intact and everything. The main street, though, is Tokyo's main street, just because I love how big it is. Everything is 2 stories. They have an animation academy on the 2nd story of the Emporium.
Oh, wow.
Like, it's so amazing, and it has... I kind of like that it's covered. The band sounds incredible when they play on Main Street.
Okay,
there.
it's a covered walkway, right?
They love their covered shopping areas in Japan. That's my Main Street is basically that, but it has most of the same stuff. It has a magic shop. It has a Starbucks. It has, a mailbox and all that stuff. However, in place of Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln, I would have Hall of Presidents. Now, I did like the idea, though, of Robert. You could go to the left and see Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln and go to the right and see... and yours was American Adventure. American Adventure has a place in my park. Not here yet. Hall of Presidents is here. And the only thing I change at the Main Street Cinema is that it would be seasonal Disney cartoons.
Very nice.
So for Halloween, it would be all the Halloween cartoons, including the new ones. Same thing for Christmas. In the spring, for some reason, I want all of the How To Goofy cartoons.
Yes. I love those.
And any other time, the cartoons they play now are fine. Then I will have the Paris Castle, and all the huge hub with the grassy areas and all that stuff. I would have... Now, my stuff kind of goes back and forth, so in a way I'm going clockwise, but then I kind of go back because I forgot stuff. I will have the Disneyland Pirates with the Walt Disney World queue, and the Blue Bayou will be there as well. And New Orleans Square will just be larger to accommodate some of the other things that I have there.
So is the Pirates the Disney World exterior?
It is the... no. It would just be where you go... I guess Pirates would push back a little bit. The actual attraction. The building would be there, but inside the building would be the type of queue that's at Walt Disney World.
Okay.
With the vignettes and the things like that. That would be how that looks. And it would still have Blue Bayou. Okay. So here was one hot take. No more Fantasyland. All of that is gone. Past the castle.
So you don't
past the
want
castle.
Disneyland.
So the castle, when you walk
Disneyland as
when
it
you
is.
walk through the castle, you get to World Showcase. That's what's behind there. And
So wait, do you have Fantasyland, but it's somewhere else?
I have Fantasyland attractions in the World Showcase. So Pinocchio is in Italy. And what did I put? I put Pinocchio is in an Italy pavilion. World of Color is in the Lagoon. Alice in Wonderland Labyrinth is where that room that we went and had the dinner was, across from the UK pavilion, or the Rose and Crown, is this pavilion, this like convention center thing. No, get rid of that, and you put the Alice in Wonderland Labyrinth in there.
Okay.
And I also have Maelstrom. And the Walt Disney World Peter Pan is also part of the UK pavilion.
No Snow White ride?
I didn't know where
Mr.
to
Toad?
put it.
Germany?
Okay. So yeah, throw it over there.
Snow White.
What about Mr. Toad and
Where would he go?
England.
That's a lot of
Hell.
attractions in
But is
UK.
it? Don't you just have a maze?
I have a maze and I have the
You
Peter
go
Pan.
Underworld Showcase to hell, and you
Yes.
go to Mr. Toad.
Oh, I also Sinbad's storybook adventures would be in a wherever he's from pavilion.
So real quick,
Yeah.
I thought Sinbad the comedian just for a hot second, and I was like, wow.
Well, there is an animatronic of him at the end of the thing. No.
Oh, I just want to let me add something real quick.
Yeah.
Because we just mentioned Mr. Toad. I would do a seasonal overlay for Halloween to turn Mr. Toad into Ichabod.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So there would be an Arabian coast area of World Showcase that also houses Sinbad Storybook Adventures. Oh, and I did say in place of the Mexico Pavilion, but you'll see.
Okay. As my eyes get real wide,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, freak you for that.
Okay, apparently I've jumped over to Tomorrowland. Tomorrowland will have People Mover, Spaceship Earth in place of Utopia, the Paris Space Mountain, the House of Tomorrow in place of the Subs, Adventure Through Inner Space, and Carousel of Progress. That's my Tomorrowland. Oh, and then the Animation Academy building would be in place of Buzz Lightyear. But I did really like Living with the Land being over there, but I put the Animation Academy over there. However, I could put Living with the Land there since I have an Animation Academy on my main street. The Sci-Fi Drive-In would be in place of Pizza Port, and I think that rounds out my Tomorrowland. Then I've got Disneyland Frontierland as is, plus Big Thunder Ranch, but the Mexico Pavilion would be in place of Rancho del Zocalo.
Okay.
So
very nice.
the Mexico Pavilion would be there in Frontierland.
Now, is it still 3 Caballeros ride in there?
Yeah.
No,
So
no Coco ride?
no, I don't need a Coco ride. However, at my park, I will do the Coco layover at Haunted Mansion.
Oh,
Haunted
instead of Nightmare Before Christmas, you would do.
Well, didn't they talk about doing that at Walt Disney World, the Coco layover?
I don't remember.
So then I'd get rid of the Matterhorn, but I would put Expedition Everest in its place.
Wow.
I figured.
I would put the Walt Disney... now I'm apparently back to Adventureland. I put the Walt Disney World Jungle Cruise in place of the Disneyland version. Keep the Disneyland Tiki Room. Tropical Hideaway can stay. Crush's Coaster in place of Indy.
Hot take.
It's a hot take.
It really is.
And then I'm going to put the Walt Disney World Tower in place of Splash.
It's just the idea that I just like picked one out, but it's still Frontier, it's still Critter Country, and then you just put
Yep.
the visual of that.
And I'll keep the Disneyland Mansion. And I would put Pooh's Honey Hunt in place of the Disneyland Pooh.
So it is
You
Critter
would
Country with
keep-
Tower of Terror in it.
Yeah, pretty much. It's fine.
You would keep Haunted Mansion as is?
I would
Just
keep.
as
Yeah, I
is
didn't make any
completely?
notes about it. Yeah. I mean, I did like the idea. Like, that's the thing is, I didn't think inside the attraction, but yeah, I love a ton of the stuff from Walt Disney World Mansion. I love the staircase scene. Disneyland Railroad is there, of course. Tom Sawyer Island would have the original fort would be open for everybody to use, and the burning cabin would be there. And I would add the Tree of Life and the animal trails and Tiffin's on the island.
That is one insane island.
Well, I considered that Star Wars Land wouldn't be there, so it could easily
Yeah.
Like, push the rivers of America.
Would you
back
add Lafitte's little dugout so you could walk to the island underneath the water?
Yes, I didn't even consider that, but of course. How would you do it? How would
wish we
you
had
do it?
that.
I don't know that it would be where the...
You guys don't have to figure it out logistically. It's just gonna work.
You know, you could get to it from Club 33. That's how you can get to it. Oh, and then it would be the Disneyland, the original Disneyland Fantasmic would be there. And then, okay, here's another hot take. I would get rid of the treehouse altogether and put Skull Rock and everything right there since it's right by Pirates.
Okay, this is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the least crazy thing you've said.
And then
So far.
in place of Star Wars Land, I would put Journey to the Center of the Earth with Ariel's Kingdom or King Triton's Kingdom underneath it. That would be in place of Star Wars Land. The Journey to the Center of the
There you
Earth
go.
attraction. And then Country Bear Jamboree would be adjacent to the Country Bear restaurant in the style, though, of the Moose Burger Lodge from Six Flags Magic Mountain.
I don't know what that is.
Well, you don't remember that from when you were a kid?
I only went there once. When I was like 7 years
Moose
old.
Burger Lodge was the best. They had these animatronic heads that would sing songs during while you
They're
sat
all
there and
broken
ate.
now.
Friends with the friends, friends with the moose, moose in the lodge, lodge on the ground, and the green grass growing all around, and the green grass grew all around.
Now it's a bar.
Ew.
It's like you go in and order a beer. So that would be the Country Bear restaurant adjacent to Country Bear Jamboree, which would be there. So then I would put the Beauty and the Beast theater from Hollywood Studios, where the theater is at New Fantasyland.
Okay.
That would be where that is. But expand the New Fantasyland with the lantern photo op that they have at New Fantasyland-ish.
Okay, so
area
Fantasyland
at
Theater.
Walt Disney World.
Oh,
No. This is
like
where
by
like
Main Street.
yeah,
New
correct. Where
Fantasyland.
Carnation Gardens used to be.
Gotcha.
That would be the So that would have the Beauty and the Beast theater where the little stage is. That just push that stuff back a little bit and put the whole theater there.
Okay.
The rest of it would be there as well as the Tangled photo op.
Okay.
And then on the other side, I'd get rid of the Wishing Well and put Maurice's Cottage there.
Wrong.
Whoa. Yeah, right.
Look, ladies.
So that would be on the other side of the castle. So
Getting
one side
rid of the wishing well.
Yep, peace out. I mean,
You
I
don't want to
suppose-
throw money down a hole?
Yeah, exactly.
Have you ever gotten a perfect plop?
Have you though? It's really great.
Sure.
There's something so satisfactory. No.
Here, you could put the well in the queue from Maurice's Cottage. How about that?
Is it Snow White themed with a waterfall?
No. So anyway, that pretty much covers it. I don't because I have the Paris Space Mountain. I don't know what I would put in the theater down there. Yeah, everything else is pretty good.
Do you have the Disneyland Railroad?
Yes.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
I feel like
As
I'm
is.
the only one who did not do something to Disneyland. I just was like,
No,
I'm
but
gonna
that's
leave
what's so
this.
creative about it. I liked it.
Yeah, I really thoroughly enjoyed your park.
Well, thank you. I hope you
much
guys
so.
also learn to recycle. And
Oh yeah, my park doesn't have
Reduce.
plastic straws. However, because we don't have too many live animals, I use the sugar cane straws that look and feel like plastic.
I have all the plastic you want. And no OSHA laws.
So it's just
there's like no hand railings
Yours
anywhere.
exists on a private island somewhere. So yeah, that covers my park.
Very nice. Oh, do you have a parade?
Oh, I didn't really think it through.
He has the Main Street Electrical Parade.
No, I don't. I
I-
have paint the night of anything.
Yeah, I like paint the night.
No.
I would have fireworks. I didn't think about it though until
Yeah.
we got to this table, but I definitely would have fireworks. It would probably be Remember?
So there it is.
There it is.
All of our dream parks.
I definitely have food and wine. I'd have all of
All the festivals.
those things. Yeah.
So anyway, Susie, Anthea, where can we find you on social media?
You can find me, Susie, at a little sprinkle of Disney on Instagram.
You can find me at This Little Disney Life on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
Awesome. If you have an idea in your head of what your best, favorite, perfect Disney park is, head on over to remainseatedplease.com and leave your comment below and let us know what you think that perfect park could be. And you can find us at Remain Seated Please on Facebook and Instagram. On Twitter, we're Remain Seated Pulse. In the meantime, please rate and review on iTunes. If you use Overcast, hit that little star on the bottom. And until next time, I'm David.
I'm Robert.
I'm Susie.
And I'm Anthea.
Bye.
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 So long, everybody.
Bye, Disney Renos.
See you at Disney.
Store? See you at the
Yeah,
Disney
what, the
store.
There. That wasn't so bad. Was it?
I'll see you all a little later.
You may not survive to pass this way again.
Time to be moving along.
Hurry back.
And barrel around to see us again.
I know I'm going to have some really hot takes, so I'm going to plow through it.
All like Star Wars.
This is going to be the park that I will
Johnny
never
Depp.
want.
No,
Instead of like great moments with Mr. Lincoln, it'll be like great times with Lendo Calrissian. Robert's like, I'm going to burn this podcast to the ground.
Just awful.